Hello and welcome to Journeys of Hope, a podcast from Blythedale Children's Hospital inspired by the strength, resilience, and unshakable spirit of medically fragile children. My name is Rebecca Solomon. On this episode of Journeys of Hope, I'm joined by Ashley and Emily Dietar-Burt, the inspiring moms of baby Calliope. Callie is a true miracle child, born at just 22 weeks and 3 days, her weight equivalent to a can of soda. Now, we'll talk about love, LGBTQ family building, the medical journey that changed their lives, and the joy of finally bringing their daughter home. Emily and Ashley, thank you so much for being on here with me.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
How are you guys doing? I know it's only been not even a week since she's been home. How's it been going?
It's been good.
It's been good.
Chaotic, but good.
Yeah, a little overwhelming. Still figuring out the routine as every new parent does, but good.
Take us back to the beginning. How did the two of you meet and what first drew you to each other?
Do you want me to start?
Sure.
All right. So, we went to seminary together. I was starting my second year. She was there for her first. And so I'm sitting at the registration table. My friend gets off the phone. She's in charge of registration and says, all right, so-and-so is almost here. She's on her way. She drove from Cleveland to New York. She got lost like 4 times, but she's almost here. And immediately I thought, who is stupid enough to drive from Cleveland to New York by yourself? And then in she walks. And I look and it's like, oh no.
Yes,
I take back everything I said.
Pretty much.
I was quite the whirlwind. Especially, I was excited right out of college, ready to move to New York City for my seminary degree. I was ready to start my career in ministry. I was like, yes, let's go. So yeah, of course, I took a rental car and got lost 4 times by myself on a road trip to New York City. I got to New York City. I found my way to the orientation table of seminary, and it wasn't long after meeting Ashley. Ashley kind of was like many of the seminary colleagues that were helping us for orientation, kind of are like guides and like leaders helping us walk through seminary life. But there was just something about her that I was like, ooh, what's this? I knew I instantly wanted to be friends, and then soon after kind of realized that like I think I want to be more than friends, and that I was crushing on her.
I saw her, immediately thought she was cute. We talked over coming weeks. Even other people were like, have you met Emily? I feel like you would get along. And it's like, yes, we have met. And she had played video games in my room and she bought lunch. And so I was like, hey, you just bought me lunch. Let me pay you back. I'll take you to dinner. So we went down the street, got Ethiopian food, and we were headed back to campus. And it's like, oh, let's get dessert. So we like walked and it's like, what do you want? Ice cream? Do you want cake? What do you want? It's like, we'll figure it out when we get there. And we walked like 20 blocks.
Yeah, we just
Until
kept hanging out.
because we just like wanted to keep hanging out.
I had been out as, at least to myself and to friends in college, as bisexual. I even called myself and my roommate the messy bisexuals because we kept our room pretty messy at the time. But I never actually had been in love with or dated women until my lovely wife here.
Who was in charge of all the LGBT clubs at seminary.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So,
Wow.
I was getting dressed up. I was like, oh, this is new. This is okay. So I think I like this. And towards after, walking and spending the night together, going to cupcakes and whatnot, walking back to seminary, I asked her, this isn't a date, right?
There's one answer to that question. No.
That's before you
If you
could
have
be
to ask,
honest
the
with
answer
each
is
other.
no.
So she heard that as rejection, when I was actually like being pretty curious and wanting to know where we were. Which is why a few days later,
It was the next day.
yes, the next day, when I admitted, like, hey, I think I'm falling for you, it landed a little like,
Oh my
what?
gosh.
It all worked out though.
It all worked out. Lunch and dinners for the rest of your lives
There you go.
together. That's it. I love it. Well, I love your energy together as a couple. At what point did you know you wanted to actually build a family together?
I fell pretty hard and quick for this wonderful woman over here, and We were dating throughout my first year of seminary. It was actually towards the end of my first year of dating her. So that would have been like maybe 8 months or so that I started envisioning a proposal to her. I didn't really know what it meant. I hadn't even lived with her yet. We really hadn't dated. I'd be like, Emily, this is crazy. This is too much. Like, don't, you're just excited. You're getting carried away. So it was privately to myself. But over the years, that dream didn't go away. It kept kind of persisting itself. And eventually, a version of that dream actually did happen as my proposal, where where I proposed to her later, about 3 years later in 2015,
At a drag show,
at a drag show.
at a seminary drag show.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
I
I'm
love
really
that.
proud of my
Not
friends.
everyone can say that.
My friends and colleagues, so Ashley helped continue to sponsor the drag show as her leadership as the head of the LGBTQ caucus at the
I
time.
created the drag show.
Thank you. She created the drag show, made it happen at seminary. So it was a piece of her legacy at Union that was really important to her. And it was a complete
Wow.
surprise to her, though, to at least kept known by at least 8 to 10 people there at the drag show.
They were very good at keeping a secret.
Yeah.
That is awesome. What a story.
And I will say, I've been babysitting since I was 10 years old. I'm 40 now. I've any church job that you can possibly have with children, I've done it. I've been a youth leader, a Sunday school teacher, director of Christian ed, pastor of children, youth, and families. I've done all of these positions. I love kids. I knew very early on in my life that I wanted to be a parent. And so anybody that I ever talked to or was interested in, any relationship that I envisioned myself in, I knew would have to be with somebody who wanted kids and who was excited about that. And it was so great meeting Emily and seeing her energy, her vibe. We have similar values.
And for me, what's surprising in my mentality going into seminary, I knew I always wanted to be a minister, and ministry is hard in relationships. Ministry is just hard in general. So I actually, from a young age, assumed I would be a single mom because of the profession that I love as ministry. And I'm really grateful that I found someone who understood my vocation, but also that I changed my relationship with my vocation to make more space for family life and relationship life. I've always wanted to be a mom first, and then, the dream of marriage entered, and there the family came.
Thanks for sharing. That's really special and in control of so much of how you're going to do things and go on the dates and propose and have those conversations about family. But the one thing you really did not have much control over was your fertility journey. And we know this is a reality for so many people. Your fertility journey was a major chapter before Calliope even arrived. What were some of those emotional highs and lows of that experience as a same-sex couple navigating parenthood?
Yeah, so I am one of those people who loves to be prepared. And so like, were we even engaged when I was first like, all right, well, let me look at cryobank sites just to get used to them and see like what's available. It's like, we're not having kids for a long time. It's like, yeah, I know.
I remember the first time you looked it up, it actually kind of scared me.
But it was just like wanting to be familiar so that when it was actually time, which didn't happen for a really long time, that it wouldn't be the first time looking at something. The pandemic definitely postponed it. I left the church that I was working at, that postponed it, and eventually was like, all right, like, there's never a perfect time. We know there's never going to be a perfect time. We need to try. And we need to like just start talking to doctors and getting information. And we went to one fertility clinic where it was honestly a bit of a challenge. We weren't necessarily listened to super well. There was a lot of unknown bias that we didn't know about around weight. And that was not properly communicated to us. And we tried to be as communicative as possible. I'm not a small person, but the things weren't handled super well there. And then it took us months to hear back about our results. And we had been very upfront that I was kind of ambivalent about carrying, but if it was possible to try for me to be the egg donor, I would like to do that. And she really wanted to be pregnant, so it's like, all right, we are willing, obviously, to be flexible. What the numbers are, what the numbers are, but if there's a way for us to at least try, we would like to try. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Like, life will go on. And we went in, and my numbers weren't great.
Okay.
And the question asks, like, are you saying it's impossible? And they said, no, I'm not saying that, but you would have to do XYZ, and here are all the concerns. And basically, you would have to lose 100 pounds. And so we should just talk about Emily and see, like, can we use hers because her numbers are better. And it was such a demoralizing conversation. It was really frustrating. We didn't know what to do. It's like, do we have to change the plan? And I think you suggested you went online and talked to some colleagues who had gone through this, and they said, try to get a second opinion.
Yeah.
And so we went to a different place and told them all the situation. And the doctor that we had there was very straightforward and very honest, but also very kind and very open. And we got retested. It came out a little bit better, but not a lot. And she told us our chances, which was maybe a 20% chance. And we talked about it and said, all we want is a chance. And so we went with that fertility clinic. I did 5 egg retrievals in the span of 11 months. At any point in time, I was either taking medications, recovering from an egg retrieval, or waiting for insurance approval. And we did all of that to try and make sure that we could do all of this in the amount of time that the insurance would still cover it, because we maxed out our insurance, and so it was being covered. And it's like, if we put this off any longer, we're gonna have to pay again, and it's gonna be a lot of money. And on the 5th try, we got a viable embryo. It was tested. We knew it was good, and that turned into Calliope.
It was hard watching Ashley go through all 5 retrievals. It was hard watching us go through that first consultation with that other fertility clinic, and at the end of it, I just said, I wanna get a second opinion because all we want is a chance to try. We understand the realities that it may not work. All we want is a doctor who's gonna give us a chance to try, and we found that with Columbia Fertility, and, Dr. Jenna Tarosi, who was fabulous, in New York City. Um, we're so happy for that team. We're so happy for the compassion, for the care, for the consistency.
There was so much respect, and like, it's a fertility clinic in New York City. Like, it's not like they've never seen a same-sex couple before, but everybody was rooting for us. They were so kind. There were openly LGBTQ staff members working there, who told us some of their journeys around fertility things. All of the nurses were just so loving and kind, and it's such a relief to walk into a space and not have to think about, or am I going to be respected? Am I going to be treated well? Am I going to be harmed? And just being able to go through this really stressful situation and relax on that end.
Anybody at any size can have kids.
Hmm.
I understand that for specifically fertility clinics that are not in a hospital, there are some cautious understandings of behaviors around anesthesia and around wanting to have numbers that look really, really good. But anybody of any size can go through IVF. There are clinics out there that will help you. We're lucky to find one.
Enter Calliope, right?
Yes.
Oh boy.
A very, very tiny Calliope. Our
Tiny.
listeners may not understand this, but just how early 22 weeks and 3 days is, I mean, that's insane. When you think
It's
of a full
exactly 4 months early. I was 5 months pregnant.
Oh, wow.
To give you a little bit of the backstory, right after this whole IVF process, I, had the insemination. We were able to confirm that I was pregnant. My first trimester was great. My doctors were like, "It looks great." It was my second trimester that was terrible. My second
Interesting.
trimester, I started bleeding within the first week. I went to the emergency room, and then I was bleeding on and off and spotting regularly, and then suddenly it became bleeding almost continuously, um, in a way that almost like I had a 3-month long period.
Wow.
Um, I was regularly going to doctor visits, and they kept being like, "We don't see where there's a tear. We don't see what's going on. Your baby's heart rate's fine. Your baby looks great. I don't know what to tell you. You just might be bleeding through your whole pregnancy." We had our 20-week ultrasound. They did find I forget exactly the medical
Sludge
term.
was the actual medical term they
Yeah, they
used.
use sludge, which is evidence of bleeding around, like, in the amniotic fluid, and then there was, they did find a small tear or something, sub
They found a hematoma.
that's it, they found a hematoma.
Okay.
But they looked my baby's anatomy was great, they're like, "The heartbeat's great." You know, they're like, "Yeah, you're pretty
All the
fine."
fingers, all the
They gave me a good
toes.
thumbs up at 20-week ultrasound, we were feeling
20
great.
weeks. Yep.
And the next week, I started losing amniotic fluid, and
Wow.
that's when my OB was like, "Well, okay, we have to monitor you now very carefully." I was then getting ultrasounds about every other day, from that point on. And it was confirmed. At first, it was like, "Oh, you don't seem to be losing amniotic fluid. Maybe it's okay." But by week 22, it was, "You're losing amniotic fluid."
Wow.
And everything about this was hard. Um, Constantly going to the hospital was hard. Constantly doing the ultrasounds was hard. Getting this news was painfully hard. And the doctors were honest. And the honest answer was they didn't know. So we were told we could lose the baby. We were told the baby could get carried for not full term, but maybe up to like 35, 36 weeks. And then we would deliver by an induction or C-section or something like that, or anything in between. And so there was just this wide bridge of possibilities that could happen. The advice that I had gotten from all of my friends, because I was a nervous wreck through all of this, was leave your wife alone. Give her some space to not have to be around your anxiety. And so we had a friend come stay with us, and she was lovely and helpful. And the day our daughter was born, my friend and I left to go to a basketball game. We're big Liberty fans. Right as tip off is starting, I get a call saying that she's not feeling well. About 5 minutes later, I get a second call from my friend who's like, leave. And so left the game. We got there. I think I was about 10 minutes behind her. And we knew it was 22 weeks and 3 days. And we knew what all the doctors had told us. And we we knew this was not gonna work out. And the OB on call came in very apologetic. I'm so sorry. And then maybe 5, 10 minutes later came back in and said, the head of the NICU is here. They might be able to do some interventions. Would you like to hear about it? We said yes. And she came in, and once again, very straightforward, very direct. Your baby might be stillborn. She might um, be born but not breathing.
And then things happen. So I was in the middle of talking to the chaplain about my feelings around this whole reality, when all of a sudden, I feel the head. I knew labor was coming fast. It wasn't even 20 minutes into my epidural. And I'm being wheeled out. Like, the doctor checks, the head is certainly there. I'm being wheeled out of the hallway. I feel her kick. And then, in the hallway, I gave birth. On the way to the OR. I wasn't even in the OR. I was giving birth. She was there.
I missed the whole thing. I was getting gowned. And when I came in, my wife was in one place with a bunch of nurses and doctors. In the corner were like at least half a dozen, if not more, people around the kid. And I'm just standing there like,
What did I miss?
what happened?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was such a surreal experience because I'm in the middle of labor, right? Just because the child is born doesn't mean labor stops. And at 22 weeks, the placenta is larger than the child, so the labor for the placenta took 3 times as long, took about 15 minutes. But in the
Wow.
middle of me continuing the labor, the doctor says, "Oh, by the way, she's alive, and by the way, she's
Oh my
breathing."
gosh.
And I
Oh
was
my
She
like,
was born breathing.
she was born breathing. I was like, "What?" Like, wait, we just spent the last how many hours going through all the possibilities, and this was not one we talked about.
But even so, I mean, she's delivered and she's only 390 grams. She's tiny. And doctors still weren't sure that she would even survive another day because of that vulnerability. And you know, off to the NICU it is for Callie, right? This isn't
Yep.
like, right. So, um, many parents describe the NICU as both terrifying and transformative. What did those months teach you about yourselves and your partnership and your strength there?
Having just experienced the day that we had, and then looking at this tiny being and being told, like, all right, so here are the things we're looking for, here are the things we're going to monitor. It could be 1 day, it could be 3 days, it could be a week, it could even be 4 months. And then it was over 8 months. There was a lot of anxiety and frustration, a lot of fear. I still jump when my wife's phone rings,
Mm.
um, because I was always scared that we were going to get a phone call that the worst had happened. We did, in fact, get that call one time, and she survived that. She's a child of many miracles. But over time, one, I just started to surrender to the idea that there was nothing I could do to change this situation. Um, there was nothing I could do to make it better. She was in a place where there were people who were able to make it better, but I couldn't do that. And so it was this just really weird moment of recognizing that I'm not in control of this and that all I can do is be on the ride as well. And then we also kind of aggressively decided at some point that if we were going to be stuck in the NICU for God knows how long, we were going to try to make things as quote unquote normal as possible. We did story time, we celebrated any holiday that we could possibly do.
There's different stages of the NICU journey, right? Especially depending on, well, for everyone, I think. The first few weeks, the first few months are very, very, very intense, right? Every day was life and death. Every day we didn't know whether she would make it or not make it, what needed to be added, all the complexities of all the different health things that we were looking out for. Another thing that I realized is when I talked at a like parent meeting at that NICU, and I was like, "Oh yeah, have you guys met PACT? They're really great, the palliative care team." And everyone's like, "We didn't meet them." And I was like,
Mm.
"Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right, 'cause our kid is a little different."
Yeah.
Um, but also, one, it's incredible when you do get to have the miracles of this kid who keeps surviving, the bond that comes between you and the doctors and the nurses and the
Oh,
team.
well, we
Yeah.
know that love definitely continued in one of our most special places that we like to talk about, Blythedale Children's Hospital. This
Yeah.
was a significant part of Callie's short but really empowering journey, and for you too. And we know Blythedale became such an important part of that journey. What was it like watching her go from needing 100% oxygen support to almost breathing entirely on her own?
Amazing. We're so proud of her, how strong this child is. I can't imagine a being so small, being so resilient, and being so persistent. It's incredible. I know I'm gonna face that stubbornness in her, teenagers very soon, but I'm very proud of her, and it's just amazing to see that transformation.
Yeah. I remember when we had the family meeting in the NICU and they told us that rehab was a possibility. Like, are we going to keep her here till she goes home or do you want to take her to the rehab hospital? And we got a list of different places in the greater New York area. And every single person, nurses, doctors, fellows, NPs, all had positive things to say about Blythedale. And one of her favorite nurses had like pulled up the Blythedale Instagram and was showing,
Mhm.
like, look, this is where she's gonna go. Look at all the things that they do. And it was so scary because, like I said, we had formed this community there, but to go to this place and it felt so warm. It made us feel like she was gonna be in good hands. And then she got there and was getting so much care, so many therapies, trying so many new things. And there were things that we were told she may never be able to do that she is doing or on her way to doing. And it's absolutely amazing to see how far she has come in that short amount of time, and it's all thanks to the wonderful work of the people at Blythedale.
You see that progress and you see every day the little victories, and it must be so fulfilling as her parents. But the reality is she faced risks involving her lungs and her brain and her eyes, and every day she continued to defy expectations. And was there like a particular moment when you finally felt, okay, we're in a good spot, she's going to make it?
That took a minute. I I think I'm trying to remember. I think there was a transition that happened somewhere maybe in August, and then it had to be replaced again in October because our kid got COVID in the hospital in September and had to be re-intubated. In August, when I realized it's not that any day now she might die. It's, oh, she's gonna be here. We just don't know what life she's gonna have. Right? It was just kind of a switch and transition. As far
Yeah.
as like, oh, she's got this, probably happened more like December, January.
So in September, she had pulmonary hypertension and pneumonia, and then they discovered COVID, which they think is what caused the other two.
Mhm.
Then right after New Year, she got the flu. And then when she came to Blythedale, she had the stomach flu. And then maybe a week or two later, she had a cold.
This baby.
By the time we got to the cold, I don't mean to sound callous here. I obviously am very concerned about my sick child, but also it's just like, oh, it's a cold? Okay. I mean, like, she survived way worse than that. Like, that's going to be okay. Right before she left, like maybe a week or so before she left Blythedale, one of my friends from college came up to see her, and she had seen her pretty early on. When every time the monitor dipped or something went off, I would just be paralyzed with fear. Um, and she was an amazing friend. She was so comforting. She was so loving. And she was holding the baby, and we were having a conversation once the kid was in Blythedale, and an alarm went off, and I just kind of rolled my eyes and went and turned the alarm off, and I didn't even look at it because I already knew that it was a false alarm. The kid was totally fine. She was playing. When she moves her feet a lot, the pulse ox doesn't read it correctly, and my friend just looks and it's like, "You've come a long way." And it's like, oh yeah, I guess so. And I don't think it was until that moment that I realized, like, you are not afraid that the worst is going to happen to her anymore. And like you're not even acting afraid.
It's interesting how you're in this situation that no one would want to be in, but organically, Blithedale is giving both of you the tools and the strength and the mindset that you need, not only while you're at Blithedale, but then to be able to take her home. That's one of the things that you don't realize day to day. You're like, you're in it one day and then, but for you to be able to do that and for your friend to recognize that who isn't in it the way you are, that says a lot. And to that point, you were able to bring her home, and now here you are at home with her. And congratulations, you celebrated your first Mother's Days together.
Yeah.
How'd that feel?
Kind of crazy.
Kind of crazy. I mean, compared to last year when we didn't even know if we would have a kid, we didn't even, because that was the 21 weeks was Mother's Day, so we didn't know what was gonna happen with her. To this year where we have a baby. She's here. She's alive. It was lovely.
All the feels on Mother's Day, right?
Definitely.
And I know you haven't been out of Blithedale for too long, but is there anything that, I know it might sound like a weird question, but anything that you miss about Blithedale that you think about and you're like, oh, wow, like, I didn't realize how much I would miss this, or anything?
I've got an immediate answer, but do you have one?
I have one too. I know I miss Lisa in the infant room. I miss the sensory time and
That
the
was my
various
answer.
activities for the kids that are there, because now that she's home but she's still medically fragile, we don't have as much freedom to go socialize with a lot of other kids. So Blythedale was really unique in that way. And yes, I do miss the nurses. Being both a mom and a nurse at the same time is a little overwhelming. We have the tools, thanks to Blythedale, to be able to do it, but we're still adjusting, and my goodness, we miss all the nurses' help.
And from like day one at Blythedale, like things would go off. They're like, oh yeah, as long if there's something, let us know, but otherwise you can turn it off. And it was very much like you need to be hands on so you can prepare for the moment when your kid leaves.
Mhm.
And that was a huge adjustment, but it was so helpful. Um, and it does make me miss them because it was really cool having folks there to like help us learn things and watch us and very like gently encourage us as we're like learning how to put in an NG tube or like how to tape her prongs to her face or to do all sorts of things or like give her a bath every day. And so definitely miss them. I will say though, I think it's a toss up for me. We really loved the folks that we had for PT and OT.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we still get to do some outpatient services, so we will get to see them. But yeah, sensory time with the low lights and the music was always such a good highlight, and it was a really fun time for us to bond with her and connect with her and to share a love of music. So definitely missing that.
All right, I'm curious to know because I hear there might be a unique story behind Calliope's name and why you named her Calliope. Please share.
Well, I'll share the heavy stuff and you share the fun stuff. So
Okay.
the heavy stuff for us is that again, when you are giving birth to such a micro preemie in the NICU, and you are filled with uncertainty, you don't know whether this kid is going to stay alive or whether this kid's going to pass away. We had a name planned for years that we wanted to give our first child. We didn't know if Callie was going to be our first child. We really didn't. And I was getting discharged in 3 days, and they kept being like, fill out the birth certificate, fill out the birth certificate, don't forget the birth certificate. So we didn't choose the name we had chosen for years. We chose a name, a beloved name that we love, that is now her name forever.
Wow.
But we had to figure out a name that we wanted to name her, and we chose Calliope. And I insisted on Amber because Amber is Ash's middle name, and his baby looks exactly like her.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So a few years before we even started the fertility process, I'm a big Grey's Anatomy fan. Calliope Torres, or Callie Torres, was one of my favorite characters. Um, longest running bisexual character in American television. I think that's still true, but not sure. And I asked Emily, "Hey, what if we named the kid Calliope?" And she said, "Absolutely not." And so years later, we're in the situation. It's like, all right, so we've come up with a name for if the kid lives, and we've come up with a name if the kid doesn't live. We don't actually know where we're at right now. What are we gonna do? We need to give her a name because it's way harder to submit the birth certificate outside of the hospital. How do we feel about Calliope? And she's like, "That's really pretty. Okay, let's do it."
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Just like that.
Yep.
And honestly, like, I kind of love it. It really like fits her, and like once we started like telling people her the name, they were like, "Oh my gosh, like that's such a great name," and people are really excited about it. If you name your child after a beloved character on a medical TV show, the doctors and nurses get really excited about it as well.
So even I didn't really know about it until looking into it, but even the Greek name, right? The head of the Greek muses is Calliope, muse of
Epic poetry and
epic
song.
poetry and song. Known definition is beautifully voiced or beautiful voice, which for a baby who for months couldn't have a voice because of being intubated, she definitely has a voice now and she knows how to use it. So it feels very fitting.
How appropriate in so many in every sense of the word and the name. That's amazing. And her name, that's a good transition into my next question. We know you are proud LGBTQ mothers raising a daughter during this time of growing visibility and representation. And June is Pride Month. So what does that mean to your family now?
Since are lucky that our story is being shared publicly, it's fascinating that the public gets to comment on it, and we're still getting comments of disgusting that there's two women being mothers and how terrible it is. And what is I just it's amazing to see where we are politically versus where I feel like we were maybe 5 or 10 years ago. So what we're doing and the fact that thankfully, we live in New York State. We have some protections and some really great laws. We have access to healthcare in a way that we don't in other states. I'm very, very grateful for our family. For me and for our everyday lives, this is just our lives. This is just us wanting to have a kid. This is just our dreams we've been working on for 10 years. This isn't a political statement. It's just us being a family. And I wish that the whole world could give people the healthcare access, the rights, and the comforts to decide what they want to do with their families and how they grow in love.
And at the same time, like, I am very proud to be who I am, to be a bisexual, queer, black woman pastor married to a bisexual woman pastor. I'm really proud to be the parent of this amazing, resilient, beautiful child who is gonna show the world who she is. And I'm so happy to be the person, or to be a person who gets to love her, whoever she is, and to celebrate her for whoever she turns out to be. And I'm just so grateful for that. And like, yeah, there are people out there who don't like that. Okay, sure. If you have a bigger problem with our kid having two moms than you do with people trying to take away Medicaid from babies like that, or from the fact that there's such high issues with black maternal health rates or anything like that, if you are more concerned with that than the fact that our kids survive through all of this, the fact that other kids don't necessarily get to survive through all of that, that other families don't have the opportunities, then I don't know, that's a you issue.
Yeah.
Because we're here, we're living our dream, and I'm extra proud this year that we get to do it with her, and we get to surround her with friends and family who are different from us in so many ways, who are similar to us in so many ways, and who will show her the beauty of what it is to live in the world.
And I think it's important to just be mindful of the challenges that come with LGBTQ families and parents. So a good example of that is
Mm,
second parent adoption. So in New York State, I'm very grateful that there are protections for us as her parents and us being on our birth certificate so that we can go to hospitals and go to her medical appointments and do things without being asked who's the rightful parent or who's a biological parent, right? But in other states across the United States, say if we went to Florida and our kid was in Disney World and medically fragile needs access to oxygen in the ER, right? Unless I adopt my child, even though I gave birth to her, I wouldn't be able to be in a hospital with her. Not in the state of Florida. So when we
not in a
talk,
lot of states.
or not a lot of states, right? So when we talk
Unbelievable.
about LGBTQ rights, we're talking about everyday American families having access to the rights that make their lives possible, being able to take care of their kids, being able to take care of their spouses, being able to build families, being able to go to work, being able to get housing. This isn't some, oh, freaky lifestyle. I'm
Yeah.
sitting on just like every other parent trying to balance formula and feeding times. I'm not doing anything scandalous,
Right. And
and
then
it's
you still have to
ridiculous.
adopt the, like, the kid you gave birth to
Yes.
is
That's wild to
that's
me. I
wild.
mean,
It's
that
wild.
is like as if your fertility journey wasn't challenging enough. And
Right.
I'm like,
And
or not
lawyers are
even that,
expensive.
Callie's journey, if her medical journey wasn't even enough. That's really unbelievable. So what's your game plan?
We haven't really
We're we
Still
haven't
figuring
made
out the
a ton of
formula?
progress yet because we, dealing with the baby coming home. But we have some legal resources we're gonna reach out to. I have a friend who, this is not her field of law, but she like has been trying to like educate herself and pass along information. And even Blythedale like gave us some resources of organizations and people to reach out to.
Yeah.
Well, good
We've
luck
been
with
focused a
with
little bit on
that.
the medical, and again, luckily, because we haven't left the state and we live in New York State, we're really grateful for those protections, but whenever things settle a little bit more with getting Callie set up medically, we'll tackle this next hurdle.
Well, I will add that Callie is extremely fortunate and lucky to have both of you as her moms because of your advocacy and your intelligence, which maybe you wouldn't think you would have to be so smart and in tune with everything you're going through, but you're doing the research and you're putting in the work, and it's not easy. So really kudos to both of you, and only good will have to come from this. And she really is going to just thrive because she has both of you as her mamas and her role models and all of that. So just I really am in awe of of both of you and your stories, and keep being who you are, because as we should all know, love is really the strongest of it all. So, that's more important than any of the trolls on social media or wherever. So that's the reality of it.
Yeah,
And
that's
yeah,
social
with
media.
a little help of some basketball along the way, because we know you both
Yeah.
love New York Liberty. Oh, there's some excitement right there. In New York Liberty, big part of your family culture.
Yeah.
Um,
Can I talk about
how
Oh,
that?
did your
please.
fandom begin? I know you talked a little bit about it already, but and that passion already becoming a part of Callie's life.
Yeah, okay. I will try to rein in some of the excitement because I can go off the rails. So I have been a WNBA fan since the very beginning.
Okay.
So like the league started I think in 1997 after the 96 Olympics, and my favorite player on the Olympic team was Rebecca Lobo. She was the New York Liberty. So even though I lived in Pennsylvania, New York became my team.
Okay.
And like I remember when I was in college, I did an internship for a summer in New York, and I was so excited because I was finally in the city and I went to the All-Star game that year. It was like so thrilling. 2 years ago, my wife surprised me for Christmas and got me like a package, I think 5 games. And it was so exciting. And then the next year, she got me a half season of tickets,
Okay.
and I was so absolutely thrilled, um, getting to go to so many more games. And then this situation happened, and it was like, I don't know what we're gonna do. And what actually ended up happening is we had a kid in the NICU. Um, the great thing about the NICU is they are the best babysitters.
The best.
And so we would go, I would do work during the day, and then I would go to the hospital to see the baby, and then we would go to games still. And it was our way of having some normalcy and being able to try to catch our breath in this really impossible, scary situation. And so we didn't miss a game. Um, it worked out really well.
And like how full circle that Ellie the elephant, the mascot of New York Liberty, and then
Yep.
you go to Blythedale, elephants are our mascot, and
Wanted to take the
oh
comment
wow,
down and knew it was a vibe.
that, wow, that's can't wait till Callie's old enough when she can go on her first elephant ride somewhere and get that on camera, right? Oh, that's great. I
I
love
can't wait
it.
to take her to a game.
Yes.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Well, she's already watched a little bit, right?
Mm.
Or yeah, here and there.
On her birthday, I had recorded the game that I left on DVR, and so like I knew what happened, but we watched it together on her birthday, so we had a nice little full circle moment.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. That's awesome. All right. So when Callie is old enough to hear this episode one day, what do you hope she understands about love and determination and the community that carried her through really her first year of life?
That there were so many people that loved you into being. So many people we don't even know, people that we don't even know were praying for you, people I don't even know in real life were thinking of you, who knew your story, doctors, nurses, countless people are helping, trying to make you come alive and loving and supporting you, including us. You have so much support. There was this one time, I'll be very brief on this. Someone didn't mean it this way, but they were like shocked to hear my baby was in the hospital, and they asked this question, "Oh my gosh, do you think your baby feels abandoned?" The weirdest question to ask any
So
parent of a
weird.
child in the hospital.
Don't do
But
that.
I
Yeah.
was walking on my way back, and I'm like, my child has been loved by so
Mm,
many more people than the average baby ever has been. Of course she doesn't feel abandoned. She feels so loved by so many people. I
absolutely.
know she feels loved, and that's what I want her to walk away with, knowing that she was loved.
I feel like the world is constantly telling us that we've got to be smarter, stronger, faster, tougher, like all of these things. And I agree with everything Emily just said. I want her to know that. But I also just want her to know, like, when the world is telling you what you have to do or who you have to be, you don't actually have to listen. You don't have to try to do any of that stuff. You already have. It's already in you. And the reason that you have gotten this far is because of the love of all of these people, but also it's because of you.
Mhm.
I don't know what went behind the kid's decision-making process, but that kiddo, every step of the way, chose to be here and just keeps going forward with this fierceness and tenacity. And you don't have to do anything but be yourself. You've got it.
Amen.
That's it.
I've never known a stronger, more tenacious, more
Person.
willful person in my entire life, which is
Wow.
why it's a miracle to watch her just exist.
Oh, I can't wait to watch her journey as she continues to grow, and it's going to be really special. That's great. Okay, I have one more question for each of you. I know, surprise, but I would like you to please tell me what is the meaning of hope? As I'm asking two
Asking two
ministers.
pastors about the meaning of hope. Now,
I
if
know,
I
right?
had
That's what
been curious for a week, I'd be able to give you an answer. I think that's a really hard question. That's on the spot. This is this is a thing. Hope is not something you do or don't have. It's not something you can just create. You can't force it to happen. Hope takes time. And hope isn't like this pie in the sky. Oh, isn't it nice? And just have hope. The kind of positive thinking that people say, "Oh, just be positive." In the middle of the darkest days, in the middle of the darkest times, that stuff doesn't cut it because that's not hope.
Hmm,
Hope is we don't know what the future holds, which means there is a possibility for better.
hmm.
Are you
I
going to
love
be
that.
able to hold out long enough to have that possibility show up? Are you not going to just give up now? This baby, even in the earliest days, made it through the next day. And sometimes when I was going crazy, I'd be like, if she can make it, I could stay on another day. If she knows that the story isn't over yet, I can stay here another day. That's hope, knowing the story isn't over yet. Not that you have a clear path, not that you know the future, not that you have some kind of idealistic, oh, everything's going to be all right, knowing that you have space for something else that's not you left in the story.
Wow. Wow.
See, that was an amazing answer.
Can you
Um,
top that?
nope, definitely can't. What I will say is this makes me laugh. I was just talking last week with my therapist, and he's heard me talk about like hope is terrible and it's dangerous and it's painful and all these things. And then he was asking me like, how did it feel to bring her home? And like, where are you at now? And I was saying all these things. And it's like, so that's hope, right? Like the thing that has been keeping you going this whole time, like, that was hope all along.
Yep.
And begrudgingly, I had to acknowledge that he was correct. But yeah, just for me, hope has for the very long time, hope was a literal and figurative four-letter word. Um, but in kind of observing it now, it's just persevering under the idea that things can be better.
Yes.
Mm. Yeah, you can shape it. You can shape your moment, your day, the way you live the life.
Mm.
That's
Well, even
awesome.
more than that, for me, I guess I'll just end on this. I'm so sorry.
Sure.
You asked
No.
hope to two pastors at the end of this interview.
I came up with like a sentence.
I know you did. I think for me, it was understanding that she was my hope, right? I couldn't control anything about her journey. I could control what I could control. I could be there every day. I could read to her. I could be present. I could tell her that I love her. I could sing to her. But she was the one making the choices to live or die. She was the one saying that she was still in it. Hope is making room to see what happens next,
Mm,
to know there is a next. There is a next coming. And my gosh, did she show us that there was a next coming.
that's beautiful. Ashley and Emily, thank you so much. Wow. What a story. What stories we have shared on this episode. Thank you for just opening up and being you, being who you both are.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
The best is yet to come. It's very exciting. Keep us posted along the way.
Will do.
Will do.
Awesome. And we hope you enjoyed listening to this episode of Journeys of Hope. If you want to hear more about Callie's journey, we have been following it almost every step of the way. You can head to our website, blythedale.org. And if you have any ideas for future topics, we'd love to hear from you. You can email us at podcast@blythedale.org. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.